Part 17. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 161. The imperial robe with a stand-up collar is embroidered with a round fan that is red on top and white on the bottom. The identity of Uchiha is about to be revealed. After all, the Uchiha clan was originally a powerful ninja clan that everyone knew about in the ninja world. Not to mention, Uchiha is now famous in the ninja world, and everyone knows the Uchiha family better. Asama Santafu can naturally recognize Uchiha identity at a glance. And this time Konoha accepted the mission, and the ninja sent was none other than the famous assistant Hokage. Are you an adult? Come in quickly. Mr. Asama was extremely enthusiastic. Uchiha nodded and followed him into it. In front of Uchiha, the third husband trotted towards the back room. When he was about to reach a door, the third husband Asama finally couldn't hold back the joy in his heart. Princess Zyuxu, Princess Zyuxu, Assistant Hokage is here, there is hope for our restoration. After Asama finished speaking, he looked back at Uchiha. Sir, Princess Zyuxu is behind this door. You can chat with me about the details. I will prepare dinner for you and Princess Zyuxu. After saying that, Asami Santafu left in a hurry, but it could be seen from the look on his face that he was in a very good mood now. Uchiha ignored Mr. Asami and looked in after the door in front of him opened. Although Fenghua Zyuxu is a down-and-out runaway princess, she is still graceful and luxurious, with a noble golden hairpin on her head. It explains very well what it means that a skinny camel is bigger than a horse. After all, Fenghua Zyuxu was once a princess of a country. Even in a remote place like the Snow Country, ordinary people look down upon it when it comes to wealth. Because of the destruction of the country, Fenghua Koyuki's knowledge of the ninja world has risen several levels during this period, and the most famous one is undoubtedly Uchiha. However, when she actually saw Uchiha, she couldn't help but be stunned. Uchiha is much younger and more handsome than she thought, which makes her start to have some doubts about Uchiha's strength. Princess Koyuki? Princess Koyuki, Uchiha stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Fenghua Koyuki's eyes. Ah, Fenghua Zyuxu quickly came back to her senses, then blushed and bowed embarrassedly to apologize. Because the movement was too violent, a little white light leaked out. Uchiha never squints his eyes. Assistant Hokage, it's because your age is so confusing that I was a little surprised and lost my mind for a moment. Now please Assistant Hokage, please follow me in. Uchiha smiled, he had received the apology, but it was hard to say it out loud. Then he followed Fenghua Zyuxu into the room, and Uchiha took a look around the room. It was a very ordinary B&B, but the clothes worn by Fenghua Zyuxu looked out of place. Uchiha quickly turned his attention to Fenghua Koyuki. It has to be said that Fenghua Zyuxu, who grew up in a graceful and luxurious environment, has a completely different temperament. Because most of the women around Uchiha are ninjas, and they are all powerful ninjas, and they are mainly capable. Even Mikoto-san was once a powerful ninja when she was young. Many of my previous habits have affected me now. But Fenghua Zyuxu was different, her whole body looked soft and moist, and she even looked delicate and tender when she walked. It looks like it fell down. After sitting in it, Fenghua Koyuki poured a glass of hot water for Uchiha. On the table in front of them, the steam from 2 cups of hot water slowly rose between them. Assistant Hokage, thank you very much for your long journey to the Snow Country to help our Snow Country recover. However, my little girl has some confusion in her heart and I don't know whether I should tell her. But it doesn't matter. Fenghua Zyuxu looked at Uchiha seriously. Assistant Hokage, I know that restoring the country is definitely not difficult for the powerful Konoha, but I don't understand why Konoha would help us restore the country. Logically speaking, Konoha and there aren't many contacts in the country of snow, and we can't afford high commissions. The country of snow is not rich, and Feng Huaxiaoxiu even thought that even if the restoration of the country was successful, she would not be able to come up with a price that would satisfy Konoha. This unequal contribution and reward filled Feng Huaxiaoxiu's heart with ambition. Uchihasuke looked at Feng Huakoyuki with a sincere face and laughed dumbly. When most people take advantage, they stay silent and pretend not to know. Unexpectedly, Feng Huaxiaoxiu directly pointed it out, especially since the country has not yet been restored. Isn't Feng Huaxiaoxiu afraid that he will deliberately speak loudly? But Uchihasuke didn't intend to tease Feng Huakoyuki. Princess Xiaoyu, to tell you the truth, if you look at it purely from a financial perspective, the Snow Country really cannot get the remuneration it deserves. Even if the entire Snow Country takes out Konoha, it will not. But Snow Country should be thankful that they have a very good princess. After Uchihasuke finished speaking, he looked at Feng Huakoyuki carefully up and down, and said meaningfully. Feng Huaxiaoxiu was stunned when she heard this. The Kingdom of Snow would like to thank them for having a very good princess. Is it because of me that Konoha chose to help the Snow Country recover? But am I any different? Feng Huaxiaoxiu couldn't help lowering her head and looking at her hands. 4.5 She is just an ordinary person. She does not have the strength of a ninja, nor does she have political skills. Even her loyal subordinates only have a few old ministers such as Asama Santaifu. Feng Huaxiaoxiu couldn't figure out what was it about her that deserved Konoha's recognition. Until she raised her head and met Uchiha's eyes again. An idea that she had never imagined before suddenly appeared in her mind. The next second, Feng Huaxiaoxiu's face turned red. Even more moving than the beautiful scenery outside the window. 200 flowers, are they all gone? Today's flowers exceed 55982,5 updates. Please give me flowers, please give me evaluation votes, and please give me data. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 162. At this moment, Feng Huaxiaoyuki remembered another famous name of Uchihasuke in the ninja world, Lustful. She didn't think of this name at first because it was generally associated with the lustful uncle. When Feng Huakoyuki saw Uchihasuke for the first time, she was attracted by Uchihasuke's handsomeness, so she didn't think of the name for a while, or she subconsciously ignored it. Assistant Hokage of Konoha, do you mean, me? Feng Huaxiaoxiu's voice was trembling. Feng Huaxiaoxiu first experienced the change of national subjugation, but she didn't expect that she had just turned around and encountered such a heartwarming thing again. She felt that what she had experienced in the past 2 days was more complicated and tortuous than the previous 10 years of her life. Why, isn't Princess Xiaoxiu unwilling? At this time, Uchihasuke is like a supervillain, smiling arrogantly. Feng Huaxiaoxiu instinctively asked whether she wanted to or not. Although you are handsome, you can't just do this. However, Feng Huaxiaoxiu quickly thought of her father, and thought of the countless people of the Snow Kingdom who had sacrificed for her these days, and Feng Huaxiaoxiu fell silent. He lowered his head and spoke in a voice that was almost inaudible. If Mr. Assistant Hokage can help us restore the land of snow, you can do whatever you want to me, at that time. Looking at the poor Feng Huakoyuki, Uchihasuke smiled. It won't be about what I do to you, but that you promise to be my woman and I will help you restore your country. When Feng Huaxiaoxiu heard this, her beautiful eyes widened and she looked at Uchihasuke. At first she thought it was just once, that Uchihasuke fell in love with her body. Unexpectedly, Uchihasuke wanted her to become his completely and possess her completely. Why, do you still want to be with another man after being with me? When Feng Huaxiaoxiu heard this, she pouted, as if there was a ball of air in her mouth, and her face turned green. Looking at Uchihasuke so angry? In all her life, she has never seen such a domineering person. He wanted to make her his woman. She also said that she wanted to be with someone else. Is she such a shameless person? However, Fenghua Xiaoxu really can't refuse Uchihasuke, because now only Uchihasuke can help the country of snow recover. Just like a snake was hit 7 inches, Fenghua Xiaoxu had nowhere to vent her anger. On the other hand, Uchihasuke looked at the angry Fenghua Koyuki and felt very cute, so he stood up and came to Fenghua Koyuki. The two of them were sitting on their knees in front of a low table. As soon as Uchihasuke stood up and came to Fenghua Xiaoxu, it was like a mountain, blocking all his sight in an instant. Fenghua Xiaoxu instinctively shrank her body back, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. What do you want to do? Uchihasuke did not answer, but slowly leaned over, his eyes level with Fenghua Koyuki. Then, Uchihasuke smiled. I just want to collect some deposits in advance. Deposit, a trace of confusion flashed in Fenghua Xiaoxu's eyes. Just when Fenghua Xiaoxu didn't know what Uchihasuke wanted to do, Uchihasuke kissed her. Ice cold touch, limited. Then Fenghua Xiaoxu's mind went blank, her eyes widened, and she looked at Uchihasuke who was so close, her eyes filled with disbelief. At this time, there was only one thought left in her mind. How can this person be so domineering, how can he be so shameless? Fortunately, Uchihasuke didn't kiss for long before letting go of Fenghua Koyuki. Fenghua Koyuki gasped for air while quickly keeping a safe distance from Uchihasuke. Although she had just agreed to commit herself to Uchihasuke for the snow country, she never expected that Lord Hokiha would be so bold. You must know that they had only met for a few minutes when she was kissed by this strange man in front of her. That was her first kiss. Fenghua Koyuki was furious. Uchihasuke was so proficient just now, and it even more proved Uchihasuke's reputation as a pervert. However, at this time, Fenghua Koyuki no longer dared to glare at Uchihasuke. She always suspected that it was because she glared at Uchihasuke that Uchihasuke came to kiss her. If I glare at Uchihasuke again, who knows what Uchihasuke will do next time? It can't be the birth of a child. Woo-hoo-hoo, I'm so embarrassed. At this moment, there were panicked footsteps outside the door. Mrs. Asama's third wife hadn't arrived yet, but the voice came first. Princess Xiaoxu, it's not good, it's Stormy, he's here. Dr. Asama was initially panicked, but when he opened the door and saw Uchihasuke, he seemed to have seen the Dingai Shenzhen, and his panic instantly calmed down. Yes, the Fenghua Furious Wave is very powerful, but we have Uchihasuke, he is the strongest person in the ninja world, so what is the Fenghua Furious Wave? Uchihasuke looked at Mr. Asama, and when he was about to ask what was going on with Fenghua Nuntayo, the sound of Fenghua Nuntayo came from outside the window. Xiaoxu, hurry up and give the hexagonal crystal to your uncle. As long as you give the level -6 hexagonal crystal to your uncle will spare your life and let you leave the country of snow. Otherwise, he. At the same time, there was also a huge roar coming from the sky. Uchihasuke looked up out of the window and saw 273, a huge thing suspended in the air like a ship with bursts of thick smoke on the top. Uchihasuke has stayed in Konoha for a long time and has become accustomed to the backward technological level of the Hokage ninja world. When I first saw this kind of ship flying in the sky, I suddenly felt like I was on the wrong set. It was at this moment that Uchihasuke recalled all the illogical places in Snow Country when he was watching the movie version of Snow Country. Trains, ships suspended in the sky like airplanes, and geothermal devices covering the entire land of snow. No matter which one is released, it is the highest technological level in the entire ninja world. However, these technologies appeared in the remote Snow Country. This aroused Uchihasuke's curiosity. I don't know how the technology of Snow Country developed to this point. When Fenghua Furidao is solved, I can ask Fenghua Xiaoxu to help me investigate. And the snow armor. This prop gave Uchihasuke a hint of familiarity. Thank you all for the flowers, 5 more will be sent. No sooner said than done. There will be more than 56,223 flowers tomorrow, please continue to update. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 163. Outside the window, the roar of machines continued. Uchihasuke took back his thoughts and glanced at Fenghua Koyuki and Asama Santafu. You just stay here, I will help you deal with the storm, and then you are ready to arrange manpower to start restoring the country. The Kingdom of Snow is not big, so as long as the Fenghua raging is killed, it is not difficult to restore the country. Okay, Assistant Hokage, Mr. Asama shouted excitedly. Fenghua Zyuxia curled her lips, and the original joy of Xiaguo's achievements disappeared in her heart. Seeing Fenghua Koyuki's attitude, Mr. Asama madly hinted at Fenghua Koyuki. But after Fenghua Zyuxia saw it, she ignored Mr. Asama. It wasn't until Uchihasuke jumped out of the window that Mr. Asama couldn't help but speak. Princess Zyuxia, why do you treat Assistant Hokage with such a cold attitude? Assistant Hokage, this time you are here to help us restore our country. If you offend him. Fenghua Zyuxia looked impatient and directly interrupted the third Dr. Asama. Don't worry, you won't offend him. Even if you offend him, he will help us restore our country. Ah, why? Is Konoha's Assistant Hokage so kind? After seeing us being persecuted, he kindly restored our country to us. Good intention? He is not so kind to help us regain our country. He only helps us because, just because. Speaking of which, Fenghua Zyuxia stopped talking. I kept cursing in my heart that Uchihasuke is a big pervert because of his condition. Mr. Asama was very curious, but seeing that Fenghua Zyuxia had no intention of telling him, he could only suppress his curiosity in his heart. However, Fenghua Zyuxia's determined attitude made the stone hanging in Asama's heart drop. In his opinion, no matter what conditions and agreements Fenghua Zyuxia and Uchihasuke reached. But as long as Uchihasuke can help them restore the land of snow, that's fine. And once the restoration of the country is successful, Hichi and Jian, the three senior officials, will surely become the powerful ministers of the entire snow country. Although he has no thoughts of rebellion, in life, who doesn't want to grow lotus step by step and be aloof? The third Dr. Asama spoke to Fenghua Zyuxia and left in a hurry, preparing to gather the old troops to prepare in advance for the success of the restoration of the country. As for the storm, the three doctors Asama did not pay attention to it at all. In his mind, as long as Assistant Hokage takes action, it is impossible not to succeed. Wasn't even the powerful Cloud Shinobi village Raikage easily defeated and even captured by Uchihasuke? This stormy and turbulent wave can still dominate in the land of snow. Is it possible that it can be compared with Raikage? If they can really be compared, their country of snow will not be a small country. Fenghua raging waves just surrounded the snow town, and did not immediately send people out to capture Fenghua Zyuxia. They overlooked the earth from high above, with a posture of dominating everyone. In his opinion, it is impossible for Fenghua Zyuxia to escape from his grasp. When he obtains the hexagonal crystal and the treasure of the land of snow, that will be the time when he will become famous. However, Fenghua Koyuki and the others did not wait, but instead waited for Uchihasuke. This is the first time for Fenghua Furong to meet Uchihasuke, including all the men behind Fenghua Furong. However, the Uchiha clan emblem on Uchihasuke is too conspicuous. Boss, he is Uchihasuke, Konoha's Hokage assistant. I have seen him in the newspaper before, and he looks exactly the same as in the newspaper. What should I do, boss? Hokage's assistants are here. You must know that the former Master Raikage was easily defeated and captured by him. Boss, please ask Assistant Hokage why he is here. Fenghua Nu Tao frowned when he heard the voice of his men behind him. Although he is arrogant, he also knows that he is definitely no match for Uchihasuke. It's just that he can't figure out why Uchihasuke appears in this place. Is there anything that Konoha cares about in their land of snow? Feng Huafurongtao thought of this and immediately rejected it. He didn't believe it. Dear Assistant Hokage, I don't know why you came to the snow country this time. I am now the king of the snow country. If you need anything, I will help you immediately. The wind, flowers, and raging waves lowered their stance. The land of snow is not ranked among the entire ninja world, let alone compared with the most powerful ninja village leader in the ninja world. However, Feng Huafurongtao still felt a little hazy in his heart. Could it be that the purpose of Konoha's visit this time is for the hexagonal crystal? In his opinion, only the hexagonal crystal can attract Konoha's attention. Uchihasuke didn't expect that Feng Huafurumao was quite polite, so he gave up the idea of taking action directly for the time being. This time I went to the land of snow to help Feng Huakoyuki restore the country. How is it possible? What kind of price did Feng Huaxiaoxiu pay? Assistant Hokage told me that I will pay double. Feng Huanudao was very confident. Double? I'm afraid you won't be able to pay. The price paid by Feng Huaxiaoxiu is herself, Uchihasuke said leisurely. Ah, Feng Huanudao was dumbfounded. Nyo Lijiao, at this moment, he suddenly remembered the scandal about Uchihasuke. He never expected that Uchihasuke would be attracted by Feng Huakoyuki's beauty. Uchihasuke is really as horny as the rumors say. I just feel like my brain CPU is burning out at this moment. The men behind Feng Huafurumao felt that Feng Huakoyuki was too lucky. Just because she was good looking, she was attracted by Uchihasuke. And then, the woman who became the most powerful man in the world. At this moment, they hated themselves for not being women. Thank you all for the flowers, 5 more will be sent. Tomorrow's flowers will exceed 56,223, and we will continue to update 5 times. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 164. But the wind, flowers, and raging waves are also very courageous, and they immediately cut off their wrists. Assistant Hokage, if you want to help Feng Huaxiaoxiu restore the country, I will just abdicate. I just hope that before I abdicate, Assistant Hokage can let Feng Huaxiaoxiu hand over the hexagonal crystal to me. My only purpose is hexagonal crystal. At the same time, this is also a test of the wind and waves. If Uchihasuke also wanted the hexagonal crystal, he would give up directly. After all, compared to survival, any wealth is irrelevant. The performance of Flower and Furious exceeded Uchihasuke's imagination, but Uchihasuke thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. After all, this is a real world. Every character, no matter how small, has his or her own way of survival. There will not be script killing or intelligence killing like in anime. Feng Huafurao was able to succeed in the coup, and it was obvious that he was a very dignified person. How could he do such a stupid thing? It is impossible for such a fool to succeed in a coup. Feng Huafurutao, you are very smart, but I am not here for the hexagonal crystal, and the hexagonal crystal is not what you imagined. It is not the wealth of the snow country. Oh, no, to a certain extent it can be regarded as the greatest treasure of the snow country. After all, it is a powerful geothermal device using hexagonal crystal. When turned on, it can even bring the snow country into spring for a short time. Although Uchihasuke's voice is not loud, everyone around can hear it. Even Feng Huaxiaoxiu in the room heard it. When they first talked about the hexagonal crystal, Koyuki Fenghua looked extremely nervous, fearing that Uchihasuke would hand over the hexagonal crystal. But after hearing Uchihasuke explain the origin and function of the hexagonal crystal, he was stunned. For a moment, I seemed to recall scenes from my childhood. At that time, she made a wish to her father, hoping to see spring. Unexpectedly, her father, As, kept this in mind and built a geothermal device that could drive the entire snow country. Thinking of this, tears welled up in Feng Hua Xiaoxiu's eyes. Feng Hua Reijao on the spaceship was dumbfounded when he heard this. If someone had told him that the treasure of the land of snow was a geothermal device, he would have slapped him in the face without believing a single punctuation mark. However, if this sentence comes from Uchihasu's mouth, even without verification, he already has some belief. How is it possible that the wealth my eldest brother left behind was just a geothermal device, and I actually killed my eldest brother for that thing? Damn it, eldest brother, why didn't you explain the matter clearly in advance? If you explained everything clearly, how could I do it? Such a thing happened. The human heart cannot stand the test. He was driven by the desire for profit, so he chose a coup. In the end, who would have thought that he would actually kill his eldest brother for something unnecessary? For a moment, Feng Hua Reijao was a little confused. He felt that he was doing something very stupid. However, recalling his eldest brother's daily behavior, Feng Hua Huotao felt that what Uchihasu just said was becoming more and more likely. Yes, our country of snow is so barren, so what kind of wealth can be hidden from my eyes? If wealth really exists, how could I not know any information about it? Feng Hua Nu Tao slumped, and the men behind him also looked at each other, and then chose to stand there quietly. It was impossible to take action, since they didn't think they could beat Uchihasu anyway. There is no reason to fight Uchihasu now. Uchihasu has the whole of Konoha at his back, and they from the land of snow are no match for them. What's more important is that he wants to live in a storm. At this moment, not far away, two figures wearing black and red clouds also arrived at the scene. Just when I saw the wind and waves, I was ready to compromise and accept my fate. Fei, it seems we are late. Feng Hua Furadao is so cowardly. According to the message, he is extremely cruel. I didn't expect that he would have chosen to surrender just by hearing Uchihasu's name. It's understandable that he surrendered. After all, he is only one person. Uchiha's greatest strength is his ability to fight in single combat. But, unfortunately, we are two people. Besides, I'm not prepared to let him surrender so easily. As Fei spoke, the three scarlet megatama in his eyes quickly rotated and quickly connected together. At the same time, a huge pupil power surged out from Fei's body and fell into Feng Hua Nu Tao's eyes. Feng Hua Rag Tao's originally confused eyes were instantly replaced by Sharingan's. Even Nine Tails is surviving under his genjutsu, and even the future Mizukage Yagura cannot escape Uchiha Madara's poisonous hands, not to mention a mere Feng Hua Furuo. Ah, I want you to die. As if Feng Hua Furadao was suddenly angry, he quickly formed seals with his hands, ice release, double black dragon tornado. The moment Fei and Nagato took action, Uchihasu also noticed them and was very surprised. It turned out to be the Akatsuki organization. Today there are more than 56,233 flowers. Please continue to update. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly votes, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. Updates will be added based on the 5 updates. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 165. What surprised Uchiha even more was the existence of Fei. Logically speaking, isn't Abi Uchiha Obito, but now Uchiha Obito is staying well in Konoha. Then if he is not Obito, who is this Fei? Looking at the Mangekyo Sharingan in Fei's eyes, Uchihasu felt a little familiar. Murin. Uchihasu suddenly remembered the scene he saw while watching in the cave. Could it be that, this Fei is Uchiha Madara? Because Uchiha Obito was saved by me, Uchiha Madara had no other choice, so he just stepped down and became a Fei. As for the other red-haired man, Uchihasu is more familiar, Nagato. However, although Nagato was thin at this time, he was still very different from the scrawny appearance in the future. Regarding the arrival of the two of them, Uchihasuke had some guesses in his mind. It was definitely Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. At the same time, Uchihasuke feels that this is reasonable. If it was just a storm, it wouldn't cause him much trouble. And after Uchiha Madara's transformed Afe and Nagato appeared, it was impossible for Uchihasuke not to use Mangekyo Sharingan. Looking at it this way, it's a bit interesting. Since Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo want to see me consume my power, I will not let them down. Otherwise, it would be boring if it scares them so much that they dare not take action and just act like ostriches. Uchihasuke's trick is called luring a snake out of its hole. His goal was not just to kill Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. He has more cruel methods in his hands. Mangekyo Susanoo. Uchihasuke barely hesitated, and instantly huge chakras surged out of his body, along with amazing eye power. Almost in an instant, a huge blue giant appeared in the snow. That tall figure, as tall as the sky, makes even the towering snow-capped mountains next to it seem extraordinarily small. The two ice dragons used by Fenghua Furutao were like two insects, and they landed on Uchihasuke's Susanoo without making a single wave. Even Uchihasuke didn't even look at Fenghua Furao, but looked at Nagato and Uchiha Madara silently. Akatsuki organization, aren't you in the land of rain? If you dare to show up at this time, aren't you afraid of offending me and destroying you? Uchihasuke sneered. You don't need to know the reason why we are here, but if you want to destroy our Akatsuki organization, I'm afraid you are overthinking it, not even Konoha. Offend you? Our Akatsuki organization has always been about money. As long as the commission can be paid, let alone you, we will accept the mission even for gods, Afe said coldly, which was completely different from the playful character in the original work. But it's normal to think about it. At that time, Afe was Uchiha Obito, and now, Afe is Uchiha Madara. The two have different personalities, and Uchiha Madara won't make such funny moves, he has his arrogance. Of course, Uchiha Madara still hasn't said a word, and Uchihasuke has already formed a relationship with him. There is a mortal enemy between them, so why would they say something like this? It seems that you two came prepared. Uchihasuke was not surprised at all. Faye and Nagato. During the Third Ninja World War, Uchihasuke exposed some of her trump cards in order to achieve a quick victory, including her Mangekyo technique, the Divine Body. Even though there is still an incomprehensible Heaven's Control, the impact of Heaven's Control on the stronger unit is more limited. Although Uchihasuke doesn't know why Uchiha Madara can survive until now, it is not difficult to guess from the pale body under his mask that Uchiha Madara should have participated in experiments related to White Zetsu. I don't know if my strength can be restored to its peak, but it is definitely not worse than before. Not to mention Nagato, the word reincarnation is enough to prove Nagato's strength. If it were the previous Uchihasuke, he might have had a hard time facing Uchiha Madara and Nagato when he came prepared. However, Uchihasuke is working day and night in Konoha these days, burning the midnight oil and working on various tasks. 0. Please give me flowers. The emotional value has already exceeded 200,000. Before today, Uchihasuke had redeemed the immortal body. It seems like you are very confident. In that case, let me show you some fun things. There was a pop sound. Uchihasuke puts his hands together. This action was very familiar to Uchiha Madara, but after seeing Uchihasuke do it, there was a trace of confusion in his eyes. Isn't this Senju Hashirama's favorite pose? Then, the next second Uchiha Madara was dumbfounded. Wood style, wooden golem jutsu. The huge sound of rolling earth suddenly appeared in everyone's ears. The layers of snow were swept away, revealing thick branches. The branches quickly twisted and twisted together, and soon formed a wooden golem that was no less than the size of Susanoo. At the same time, Susanoo began to cover the wooden golem, as if the wooden golem was wearing a layer of armor of blue flames. Two long knives that swallowed flames also appeared in the hands of the wooden golem. Wood style, majestic Susanoo. Seeing this scene, Uchiha Madara was dumbfounded. It took him decades of hard work to acquire part of Senju Hashirama's abilities, and this ability was also based on White Zetsu. Compared with Senju Hashirama, he still has some gaps. Uchiha used wood style and Mangekyo Sharingan at the same time, making Madara fearful of Hokiha for the first time. Fortunately, according to the intelligence, Uchiha vision has begun to blur, and he has no brothers, so he will definitely not be able to open the Eternal Mangekyo. Otherwise, wood style plus Eternal Mangekyo, Uchiha will be the second person to go that route. Thinking of this, Uchiha Madara was particularly happy. It's okay, he's just one move away. There are more than 56,233 flowers today, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly tickets, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. We will add more updates based on the 5 updates. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 166. There's just one thing that Uchiha Madara can't figure out. How did Uchiha master wood style? Could it be Uchiha is a hybrid of the Uchiha clan and the Senju clan? This is not a random guess. When the Senju clan chose to integrate the entire clan into Konoha, many members of the clan married into the Uchiha clan. It's just that over the years, no one in the Uchiha clan has ever awakened to the wood style. Uchiha didn't give Uchiha Madara much time to think. After the wooden golem rose from the ground, it attacked them. Uchiha actions also inspired Uchiha Madara. Because he knows Susanoo, and he also knows wood style. So, when Uchiha attacked 400, Uchiha Madara put his hands together. Wood style wooden golem jutsu, Mangekyo Susanoo. Almost at the same time, a powerful Susanoo appeared on the field wearing armor and holding a flaming sword. However, this powerful Susanoo is smaller in size than the one of Uchiha. Damn it, these are not my eyes. Using other Sharingan to perform Mangekyo's pupil technique is too reluctant. In terms of the level of eyes alone, Uchiha is actually not as good as Uchiha Madara. Because, Uchiha Madara has evolved into a Rinnegan. And Uchiha just has the possibility of evolving into Rinnegan. He has just possessed the immortal body and has not fully studied it yet. When he studies the immortal body and combines it with the eternal Mangekyo, he will naturally evolve into a Rinnegan. Of course, Uchiha can also spend 10,000 emotion points to speed up the fusion. It's just that Uchiha feels that he can complete it within a few days, so he doesn't plan to waste emotional points. Moreover, the eternal Mangekyo plus the sage body is enough now. Besides, if he evolves into a Rinnegan now and Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo find out about it, who knows if they would dare to continue to be monsters. Nagato next to him didn't take any time off either. He looked at a long knife coming towards him and silently stretched out his right hand. Shenra Tianzhang. Nagato shared a long sword, and Uchiha Madara controlled Susanoo to hold the two long swords in front of her body to resist Uchiha other long sword. Boom! The huge collision sound instantly resounded throughout the entire world. At this time, Feng Huaxiaoxiu, Asami and the other 3 doctors were all dumbfounded. Saikuyi is so powerful. Is this the strength of Assistant Hokage? As his opponents, where did those mysterious people come from? They are so strong, they can actually be evenly matched with Assistant Hokage. Uchiha Madara used all his strength to take action, and naturally he released his control over Fenghua Furious Wave. In addition, Fenghua Furious Wave also had snow armor on his body, which had a certain resistance to illusions. At this time, Fenghua Furious Wave had returned to normal. The men behind Fenghua Furumao looked at the scene of Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Madara fighting, and their mouths were so open that they could put a fist in them. It's too exaggerated. Is this still the level that humans can achieve? As expected of Konoha, he is such a powerful ninja. No wonder he was able to single-handedly defeat the Third Ninja World War. Boss, how dare you do it just now? Boss, are you a man who has fought against the strongest ninja in the ninja world? Feng Guaviraseo was also helpless at this time. Although he didn't know what happened just now, he vaguely felt that he was affected by the two people who were currently fighting Uchiha Sasuke. Don't worry so much, let's retreat first, otherwise you are really likely to be killed by Zibo. Feng Huaragtao is still confident that he can resist the aftermath, but his men don't have this ability. Next. A large wooden golem wearing blue armor and flames chased a small wooden golem wearing blue armor and a black shadow slashing zero. In just a moment, Uchiha Madara and Nagato's chakra consumed a huge amount. Afii, the information is wrong. Uchiha Sasuke's strength is far beyond our imagination. It is difficult for us to defeat him with just the two of us. Yes, he hasn't used that terrifying ninjutsu yet. If he uses that ninjutsu again, we will either die or be injured. At this time, Uchiha Madara had already begun to think about quitting. He chose to live to complete the plan, not to fight with Uchiha Sasuke. After that plan is completed, his strength will change by leaps and bounds. In his opinion, Uchiha will no longer be a problem by then. Nagato, we are preparing to retreat and use the techniques we have prepared in advance. Uchiha Madara made a prompt decision. Before coming, they knew that Uchiha Sasuke had powerful control ninjutsu, so they were naturally well prepared. Once they are defeated or suppressed by Uchiha Sasuke, they will use the time and space ninjutsu they have prepared to escape. At the same time, Uchiha Sasuke seemed to sense their intention to escape. However, Uchiha has no intention of leaving them behind. Geisha said that Chisuke Tokyo does not have a strong ability to retain people in 5.1. If Nagato and Uchiha Madara want to run away, he cannot stop them. Seeing the fluctuations of time and space flashing across them, Uchiha Sasuke stopped, looked at Nagato and said, "Nagato, courtesy reciprocates, this time your Akatsuki organization ambushed me, next time it will be my turn and I will be a guest of your Akatsuki organization." Seeing Nagato, Uchiha Sasuke thought of Konan. Anyway, I have nothing to do recently. Uchiha Sasuke is preparing to go to the land of rain after finishing the matter in the land of snow. There are more than 56,233 flowers today, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly votes, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. Updates will be added based on the 5 updates. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 167. After Uchiha Madara and Nagato leave, Uchiha Sasuke turned his attention to several figures hidden in the dark. Although it was the first time for Uchiha Sasuke to see them, he knew that they were subordinates of Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen without even guessing. Uchiha Sasuke smoothly controlled the blue giant, slashed it with his sword, and attacked the place where these bugs were located. These ninjas are all specialized information collectors. Although they are not strong, they also have their own tricks. When Uchiha Sasuke killed them, they used secret methods to pass some information back to Konoha. It's just that very little information is conveyed. Uchiha Sasuke has used Eternal Mangekyo, and the Akatsuki organization is defeated. And this is the message they are trying their best to convey. Little did they know that the information they conveyed seriously misled Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. Just like the Akatsuki organization is defeated, it does not mean that the Akatsuki organization is not strong. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo were overjoyed after receiving the news because they had accomplished their intended purpose. Uchiha 07 used the eternal Mangekyo and discovered the strength of the Akatsuki organization. They began to prepare and contacted Hanzo of the Salamander. The Land of Rain has always been an area indirectly controlled by Konoha. Hanzo of the Salamander is close to Konoha, so Sarutobi Hiruzen and others approve of Hanzo of the Salamander. In the Water Kingdom ruled by Hanzo of the Salamander, Konoha's ninjas can travel unimpeded. Sunin's matter was also a petition submitted by Hanzo of the Salamander. But the Akatsuki organization is different. The Akatsuki organization is determined to create an independent country, which is contrary to Konoha's interests. This test also made Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo determined to join forces with Hanzo of the Salamander to destroy the Akatsuki organization. Naturally, such a major joint event cannot escape Black Zetsu's information. Black Zetsu soon told Uchiha Madara the news. After Uchiha Madara found out, she did not tell Nagato about it, but instead found an excuse to leave the Akatsuki organization. The reason is also very good. The last time he took Nagato to escape, he paid a heavy price and became blind. It's not that easy to escape from Uchihasuke. Uchiha Madara really lost his eyes, but he has many such 3 Megatama, which is what Nagato doesn't know. Moreover, the Akatsuki organization is now headed by Yahiko. After Uchiha Madara arrived, he found that there were many things that he couldn't intervene in unless he revealed his identity. A united Akatsuki organization is also not what Uchiha Madara wants to see. It is also not in his interest to have a physically and mentally healthy Nagato. Nagato is too slow to develop Rinnegan right now. And what promotes this development, is hatred. So Uchiha Madara acquiesced in the collaboration between Hanzo of the Salamander and Shimura Danzo, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and others. Anyway, in his opinion, Hanzo of the Salamander alone cannot defeat the Akatsuki organization, but some people will definitely die. In Uchiha Madara's opinion, the best person to die is Yahiko. A gust of wind blew across the ninja world continent, and countless windmills were turning rapidly, as if indicating that countless things were about to happen. Although Uchihasuke also plans to pay a visit to the Akatsuki organization after the incident in Snow Country. I don't know what is happening in Konoha and Rain Country now. The battle is over. Uchihasuke released the energy from his body and came to Fenghua Koyuki. Fenghua Furutao and his men also came over obediently. Fenghua Zioxu's eyes were full of hatred after seeing Fenghua Raging Tao, because Fenghua Raging Tao killed her father. Uchihasuke could easily kill Fenghua Furuo, but did not do so. Instead, he pinched the side of Fenghua Zioxu's face and said, "Zioxu, there should be no problem with the mission of restoring the country. I will also bring Fenghua and Raging Waves to you. Kill or blow, all at your command." Although Uchihasuke said this, it fell on Fenghua Koyuki's ears. "I have completed the task, and I will do whatever you want to do next, but please remember our conditions, you are mine." However, at this time, Fenghua Zioxu no longer has so much resistance to Uchihasuke. After all, Uchihasuke helped her regain her country, and at the same time brought her enemy who killed her father in front of her. What else is she dissatisfied with? Besides, Uchihasuke is indeed more handsome than any man he has ever seen. The strength made her even more stunned. Being a Uchihasuke woman is not a shameful thing. When Fenghua Ragtao heard Uchihasuke say this, he had a wry smile on his face. In his mind he was dead. After all, he killed Miss Fenghua's father and captured the Kingdom of Snow. He chased Fenghua Zioxu and wanted to snatch the hexagonal crystal in Fenghua Zioxu's hand. In terms of emotion and reason, nothing he did was honorable, and it was understandable that he was killed. But when Fenghua Zioxu opened her mouth, Fenghua Runtao was surprised. "Kill him? Of course I want to kill him, but killing him would be too easy for him. I want him to live with the guilt of my father forever. Let him spend the rest of his life paying off his debts to the country of snow." Assistant Hokage, Can you seal the power of Fenghua Furutao 030? I want him to be an ordinary person and work at the lowest position in the Kingdom of Snow forever until he dies. I also want him to keep vigil for my father. Uchihasuke was surprised by Fenghua Xiaoxu's choice, but he did not refuse. It was easy for him to do this. As you wish, Princess Xiaoxu. There are no exceptions for the subordinates of Fenghua Fuchuo. Those who follow him and do evil are treated the same as Fenghua Fuchuo. Chakra is sealed and becomes an ordinary person, working in the dirtiest and hardest job in the land of snow for his whole life. Those subordinates who had done no evil were integrated into the Snow Ninja Village and continued to defend the land of snow. Next. In the busy preparations for the restoration of the country, Uchihasuke saw all the cumbersome procedures for a country's monarch to ascend the throne. Uchiha is not interested in any of this. Find an open space, open the portal, and bring Kushina and the others over from Konoha. There are more than 56,233 flowers today, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly votes, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. Updates will be added based on the 5 updates. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 168. At the same time, a vacation notice was also posted on the door of Hokage's office. Assistant Hokage goes on vacation and will put work on hold for the next week. Then, Azabuyi and Samui brought Araki to the land of snow. There's so much snow here in Jejun, it's so beautiful. Compared with the snow in the leaves, it looks like an Inaya hut. Yeah, this kind of clean environment makes people so relaxed and happy. It's like a pure land outside the world. I really want to live here forever. Kushina looked intoxicated. No one doesn't like beauty, and she is no exception. Uchihasuke nodded Kushina's forehead. You just don't see much snow, that's why you say this. No one who lives in a snow country has ever thought like you. If you were allowed to live in such a cold and frozen place 365 days a year, life, you wouldn't say that. Kushina stuck out her tongue and thought about what Uchihasuke said just now. Sure enough, when she looked at the beautiful scenery in front of her again, she suddenly felt that it was not as beautiful as before. After all, it is relatively monotonous and you can see the snow at the end. The environment where Konoha's leaves and flowers are blooming is obviously more suitable for people to live in. Hee, Ji-kun, I'm just talking. Besides, we have a portal, and we can come to Snow Country from Konoha at any time. If we get tired of seeing it, why don't we just go back to Konoha? Uchiha Mikoto also looked intoxicated looking at the snow in front of him. She had not left Konoha for a long time, and she had never seen such a magnificent snow scene. And all these changes were brought to her by Uchihasuke. By wooden golem is running around in the snow, just like a child. There is also a fragrant phosphorus behind her butt. Although they are one older and one younger, in Uchihasuke's eyes, they are the same age. Cai Lian followed the two of them, fearing that they would fall, and took care of them carefully. Samai and Azabai are no exception. This is the first time they have seen such a snowy scene in their lives. Fenghua Xiaoxu, who was preparing for the enthronement ceremony in the distance, also made them very curious. A living princess, no, a living female king. Terumi Mei was experimenting with water style there. As far as she knew, the ninjas in the land of snow could become ice release in this special environment through water style. She was extremely curious about this and kept using various ninjutsu to try. At this time, only Murasaki Minajiki accompanied Uchihasuke. Uchihasuke has been in the country of snow for 2 days, and the snowy scenery no longer has the initial surprise. As for Minajiki Zi, she is the owner of Ice Release Bloodline. She only felt comfortable in this environment and was not that addicted. There was only Uchihasuke and his women in this large area. Kushina and the others didn't care at all about the spring breeze, they were laughing and playing in the snow. Although Uchihasuke's hands and feet were cold, his heart was extremely hot. Somewhat annoying. But now everyone is playing, and Uchihasuke doesn't want to ruin everyone's fun. Not to mention, there is also a Minagiki Zi beside him. The deepest impression that Minagiki Murasaka left on Uchihasuke was that she was obedient and obedient. It can be said that she is the most obedient and submissive of all the women in Uchihasuke. No matter how shy Uchihasuke said it, Minagiki would complete it. This submissive character, although not very conspicuous in a large family, perfectly fits Uchihasuke's desire to conquer. Zi, as far as I know, there is a ninjutsu in ice release that can create countless ice mirrors and seal space. I wonder if you have mastered it? Jejun, are you talking about the magic mirror ice crystal? Yeah. I have indeed mastered this. Well, Zi, you can use this ninjutsu now. However, you don't need to build such a big house. You can only build a house big enough for the two of us. Uchihasuke raised his eyebrows after speaking. Although he was talking about making a small house using magic mirror ice crystals, the meaning was some dirty things. Minagiki's purple face turned red immediately, especially when there were so many people playing around. However, Minagiki Zi still said him obediently, and then started to form seals. Soon, a hut made of ice appeared quietly in the snow. Uchihasuke looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to him. He immediately took Minagiki Zi's little hand and entered it. From the outside, because the magic mirror ice crystals reflect the snow light, it is not obvious that there is an extra cabin here, which brings a certain degree of hiding ability to the cabin. But after entering the hut, there is an empty sky inside. Each piece of ice mirror shines on Uchihasuke and Minagiki-tsune like a mirror. This kind of picture opened up Uchihasuke's mind and thought of many dirty pictures. Then, Uchihasuke became even more angry. Zi, I didn't expect you to bring me a surprise. I like this mood. Amazing. Minagiki Zi also saw everything in the room at this time, and she was so embarrassed that she couldn't even lift her face. This magic mirror ice crystal was created for attack. The caster can enter each mirror to achieve rapid movement. However, it is obvious that this powerful ability has become something else at this time. But account for. Uchihasuke didn't give Minagiki Murasaka time to be shy. Soon in houses made of ice crystals. Every wall is showing the same scene from different angles. There will be more than 57,127 flowers tomorrow, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly votes, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. Updates will be added based on the 5 updates. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 169. Everyone was having fun on the snow field, and suddenly Kushina reacted and found that Uchihasuke was missing. Terumi-me, have you seen Ji-kun? Kushina stopped and looked around. Hey, wasn't Sukun still here just now? Terumi-me pointed to the location where Uchihasuke was just now, but it was empty now. No, Mr. G is right here. Kushina also looked confused, but quickly said confidently. Kushina has the Kagura heart eye and can sense the chakra of others. She felt that Uchihasuke's chakra was at the location pointed by Terumi-me. But they couldn't see anyone. With doubts, Kushina and Terumi-me looked at each other and walked towards Uchihasuke's position. As they got closer, they quickly noticed something strange, and then heard a faint sound of pleading. This sound line is very familiar to them. It's Mizunazuki Murasaka. Terumi-me confirmed. In front of you, is this wall that can reflect the surrounding light and shadow made of ice escape. And that pleading voice, Kushina Terumi-me 193, is all too familiar. Almost instantly, they understood what Uchihasuke was doing. How about, let's stop playing in the snow and go in together, Kushina suggested eagerly. Hee, okay, Terumi May said, glanced at the people around who were still playing in the snow, and subconsciously licked her flaming red lips. Then the two used escape techniques and entered directly into the ice in front of them. As soon as they entered, the two of them were shocked by the sight of the magic mirror ice inside. 360 degrees are all mirrors. In this way, even when you are exercising, you can see the scene behind you clearly. Even though they and Uchihasuke were already married, Kushina and Terumi May still blushed and subconsciously wanted to run away. However, when Uchihasuke sees Kushina and the others throwing themselves into a trap, will he let the meat in his mouth slip away in vain? With a wave of his hand, he caught the two of them directly. Then it changed from two people pulling a train to four people playing mahjong. Uchihasuke was so happy after finishing the cannonball alone. If the absence of two people outside is not noticeable, the absence of four people is obvious. Soon Samai and Ampui noticed the difference. The two looked around, and quickly locked their eyes on the somewhat distorted space scene, where the magic mirror ice crystals were located. Like Kushina and Terumi May, the two gradually got closer with doubts. Realizing what was happening, the two of them entered it like Kushina Terumi May and fell into the trap. As time goes by, there are fewer and fewer people outside the magic mirror's ice crystals. Only 3 people, Wooden Golem, Siang Phosphorus, and Cai Phosphorus, are left. After Wooden Golem got tired of playing with Siang Phosphorus, he came back to his senses and immediately found that everyone was gone. Xiao Xianglan, where are Kushina and the others? I don't know, Dad was still there just now. Xiang Luan looked back at Cai Luan, Mom, where did Dad go? When Cai Lian heard this, his face suddenly turned red. She doesn't care about anything when playing like Wooden Golem and Siang Phosphorus. She discovered Uchiha's little tricks very early. Even how Ma Bai and Samai disappeared was seen by her. It didn't take much for her to know what Uchihasuke and them were doing, but she was embarrassed to say it in front of her. Wooden Golem moved his ears and soon heard the sound of Samoyed and Azalea making together. It only took a moment for Wooden Golem to understand what was happening. Without hesitation, he came to Cai Phosphorus with Siang Phosphorus in his arms. Cai Lian, now your daughter is in your custody, I want to play with them, odd. Wooden Golem left immediately after speaking. Snow can play anytime, but now she wants to play a more fun game. At this moment, Wooden Golem is like a scumbag. Just now, he and Xiang Ling were like sisters, but now he leaves without hesitation. Then, under the gaze of Siang Phosphorus, Wooden Golem quickly ran towards a place that looked like an open space, and then the figure disappeared in a whoosh. Seeing this, even if Siang Phosphorus doesn't understand, he understands what happened. Mom, why don't you go too? I'll be fine here alone. Cai Lun was a little moved when she heard this, but in the end she shook her head. Mom will be with Siang Phosphorus today. I don't trust you alone in the snow. This place is surrounded by deserted areas and is located on the mountainside next to the capital of Snow Country. From a high position, one can clearly see the ceremony being held in the kingdom of Shui at a glance. Mom, you are so kind. When I get back, I will secretly tell my father that he will be alone with you for once. Xiang Lu, don't cause trouble to Mr. G. No trouble, no trouble. Dad likes me the most and will definitely agree to it. For a moment, Cai Phosphorus didn't know how to explain it. Being alone can be fatal. The capital of the land of snow. Feng Huaxiaoxiu was like a puppet on strings, performing the enthronement ceremony under the leadership of the ministers. The process is extremely cumbersome and there are so many matters. At the end of the day, everyone was tired, but Asama's eyes were full of fire after being exhausted for 3 days. From today on, Fenghua Xiaoxiu is the king of the snow country. And he will become the first minister of the entire snow country. At the same time, he also knew that the real king of snow country was not Fenghua Koyuki, but Uchihasuke. I have long been prepared to kneel down and lick Uchihasuke. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The day passed quickly and quietly, and the tedious ceremony finally came to an end. Fenghua Xiaoxiu was led by Isama Santayo to the place where she lived, the Snow Country Palace. Princess Koyuki, no, King Koyuki, you go in and rest first, and I will inform Uchihasuke that the ceremony is over. After finishing speaking, Mr. Isama left in a hurry. Fenghua Xiaoxiu looked at Mr. Isama, who was leaving like a doglegger, and stamped his foot hard. What? I just finished the king's enthronement ceremony. Uchihasuke didn't come over in a hurry. The third wife couldn't wait to call Uchihasuke. Am I the king, or is Uchihasuke the king? There are over 57,127 flowers today, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly votes, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. Updates will be added based on the 5 updates. Konoha, I am really not a bad person. Author, Cat on the List. Chapter 170. Pouting. Fenghua Xiaoxiu walked into the house glumly and sat by the bed. At the end of the day, she was exhausted. My legs have long been numb and weak. Because of the complicated and luxurious jewelry on his head, his neck was also a little stiff. Just when Fenghua Xiaoxiu was resting, Uchihasuke, led by Isama Santayo, walked towards the direction of the summer palace. Although Uchihasuke was wasting his time during the day, Kushina and the others knew that tonight was the time for Fenghua Xiaoxiu, so as evening approached, they moved into the rooms specially prepared for them and pushed Uchihasuke out together. After meeting Uchihasuke, Mr. Isama's attitude was extremely groveling, and his eagerness to please almost overflowed from his face. Santafu, I see that the science and technology in the Snow Kingdom is very advanced. Who researched the flying boats in the sky, the trains in the snow, and the snow armors? Back to Assistant Hokage, I don't know exactly who did the research, but I know that there has always been a science and technology department in the Snow Country. These things were all researched by the Ministry of Science and Technology. After all, you also know where our Snow Country is. In a remote place with scarce resources, these technologies have brought us a lot of benefits, otherwise the Snow Country would have been destroyed long ago. The conditions in Snow Country are extremely harsh, and Uchiha is not surprised by the existence of Snow Country's Science and Technology Department. Third Doctor, we will summon the personnel from the Ministry of Science and Technology tomorrow. I want to see them. Okay, Assistant Hokage. The Uchiha community is curious about the Ministry of Science and Technology. Even if Uchihasuke comes to be the king, Mr. Isama will only greet him with both hands. The two chatted for a while, and soon they arrived at the entrance of the palace. After arriving at the designated place, Isama Santafu said goodbye to Uchihasuke, then turned and left the room. Leave time to Uchihasuke and Fenghua Koyuki. A squeak. As soon as he opened the door and walked in, Uchihasuke saw Fenghua Koyuki pouting and leaning on the bed. Wearing a luxurious and grand king's costume, the graceful beauty of Fenghua Koyuki was highlighted. Anyway, Uchihasuke was amazed. Xiaoyu, you are really beautiful today, Uchihasuke praised generously. Although Fenghua Xiaoxiu was a little happy when she heard this, she didn't show it. Instead, she curled her lips. No matter how beautiful you are, I haven't seen you watching my ceremony today. I don't know where you went with a bunch of women. Huh, you have so many women, and you still care about me. How about we discuss it, will you let me go? Although Fenghua Xiaoxiu had no resistance to becoming Uchihasuke's woman after Uchihasuke helped her return to the country and captured Fenghua Furumao. However, Fenghua Xiaoxiu was shocked when she saw such a large family of women summoned by Uchihasuk today. Although Uchihasuk does not have as many women as the daimyos of the Land of Fire. However, every quality far exceeds that of a famous woman. Originally, Fenghua Xiaoxiu thought that she was extremely beautiful, but compared with the woman Uchihasuk, it can only be said that each has its own merits. Uchihasuk was surprised by Fenghua Koyuki's appearance, and sat next to her with a smile. Xiaoxiu, are you jealous? Later you will know why I have so many women. Even if I only want to have you as my only woman, you probably won't want to. Humph, you're a scumbag and a pervert. Fenghua Xiaoxiu didn't listen to this, thinking that she had never seen the world and wanted to lie to him. Even though she has never eaten pork, she has also heard of pigs running away. How could Uchihahiko be able to bear it when he saw Fukakoyuki acting so arrogantly? A gentle push pushed Fenghua Xiaoxiu down. Amidst Fenghua Xiaoxiu's sweet calls, the candlelight on the window sill drifted in the wind. The last breath went out. A night of silence. Fenghua Koyuki finally understands why Uchihasuk said that. 0, please give me flowers. She felt like she almost died. Day 2. Uchihasuk was on his way to the Science and Technology Department of Snow Country under the leadership of Santa Fuusama. Still thinking about everything I experienced last night. Uchihasuk has many women now, and everyone's sensitive points are different. Kusina's is 2 moles, Terumi Mei's is lips. But this is the first time Uchihasuk has seen a sensitive point on his throat. Thinking back to Fukakoyuki's swollen little mouth when she left Fukakoyuki's place this morning, Uchihasuk couldn't help but smile. 0. You were always pouting and bulging your mouth, but now you are really pouting and bulging your mouth. Good times are always short-lived, and Uchihasuk soon came to the Ministry of Science and Technology. As soon as he entered the gate, Uchihasuk was stunned by the Science and Technology Department of Snow Country. The equipment here is at least 20 years ahead of that in Orochimaru's laboratory. Uchihasuk even saw something like a computer. It's just that this computer is very huge, almost half the size of a house. This is the Ministry of Science and Technology of the Land of Snow. It is simply the beginning of an information civilization. You know, originally there was nothing like a computer until the end of the Hokage Ninja story, the Fourth Ninja War. Unexpectedly, the computer actually appeared much earlier than in the original work. Subsequently, Uchihasuk is in the Ministry of Science and Technology. I saw a very familiar figure. There are over 57,127 flowers today, 5 more updates will be continued. Please ask for evaluation votes, monthly tickets, and automatic subscriptions. These data are up to standard. I will add another update based on the 5 updates.